I feel I'm going forward, by the way. There are some streams that I'm only going to be streaming on Twitch. The reason why is because I'm getting audience numbers that could help me make partner on Twitch. But because it's all distributed and split up, it also affects the stream quality. So AMAs will be on both. That I'll definitely do on both. Stardew Valley, I'll definitely do on both. But for the Friday, Saturday, no, sorry, Stardew Valley, I'm just going to start doing on Twitch. But for obviously party night, I'm going to keep it to YouTube and Twitch and Discord because I know a lot of you want to play and you sometimes have problems of that. Eventually, I'll probably will make a change because Twitch has that little app that you don't need to log in. That you don't need to log in at all to play the game. And I feel that would be nice for people, but I know a lot of you still don't want to play or view Twitch or be on Twitch. So yeah, so here's my crayons. I was busy saying to everyone, we're going to be drawing today, coloring in. I know I'm a grown person, but you know, it's a thing. We have adult coloring books now, and I feel I need to get on board in this. Yeah, real life coloring. I was inspired by the Kabaj, who's on our channel as a moderator. She has some wicked crayons, but I wasn't going to spend that much. I want to see if it's actually going to help. But look at this. Look how they don't do anything here to align the colors. That's just OCD on my level. Okay, so since TinyTube is here, you can give me some tips. So we're going to be drawing Katmai as a ferret today. So I think I'm going to keep a little white face. But obviously we'll be adding some colors so that it doesn't look completely white. And then obviously this is going to be the fur. And also considering that this is the dirt theme today, these are going to be rocks. So these are going to be rocks and sand. These are not going to be those kinds of treats today. And we're going to be shading. So the light we're going to pretend is going to come up from this side. Always start with light colors and then stack. So we're starting with the light colors. So the light colors obviously are going to be Katmai's fur, so we're going to possibly pick a light brown if they have a light brown here. I mean, I bought 24 colors. If they don't have a light brown, I'll be quite upset. Okay, so let's just put this. Maybe TinyTuber can put a layer of soft colored brown and stack it the same color over it. Okay. So now we're stacking. Are those banana hands? Yes, those are banana hands. Look at the just. Let's just look at all these colors here. Well, this one can go away, and so can this one. Won't be needing you today, people. So I think these ones are the ones we're gonna be focusing on today. So we're gonna keep the browns here, and I think for Katmai's face we might pick a warm yellow and maybe a little bit of an orange, but definitely gonna keep all the browns to the levels. We might pick a gray for the rocks. So the rocks are going to be there. But here's the colors that we're looking at. And then, yeah, and then, I mean, the rest of them are pretty much like, we won't be needing them today. Unless, okay, well, the crown is going to be a little bit of a gold. So let's keep the yellows on the side there. And the rest of it, we're going to be putting back in our box. We might use the purple. Okay, we might use the purple for the cape, but I really prefer to have a different colored cape. This seems to be serious indeed. Yeah, well, it was a cheap purchase. Let me just minimize my phone because people. Oh no! What have I broken? What have I dropped? Oh, okay. One moment. Okay, we need to wash our hands again because we dropped things over the sheet. That's just, let's clear the area of dust and little paraphernalias, and let's do this. Okay, so let's pick something very light. I think you know what, we are going to go with a pink. We're going to go with a pink. Let's color in her ears first. I'm trying to see the level of what we can actually see, because then I might need to turn down the lighting. Okay, these I will be open that these are immediately rubbish crayons or rubbish. They're just rubbish. Okay, the pink is not coming through probably because the lighting is a bit. Let's just let's turn it down a bit. Okay, well, you can't see the pink, so that's a bit of a problem. So we might need to go deep purple just to Let it come out. Yeah, it is, folks, it is not shining here at all. Let me just also maybe change this side. You know, lighting is very important, folks. I feel like this is, okay, ooh. Oh, and that seems to make a gradual improvement. Let's try. Okay, we can lightly see. We might have to break out the purple, people. That's disastrous. Might need to break out the purple. So just so that we can add a bit more color. Okay, so since Tiny Chib is here, and we got some other artists here, what do you recommend should start the color? You say a softer brown. Okay, so we're gonna move away. So this is the lightest brown we actually have. So on this, which is a bit, but we can start this. I know her feeties are a little bit on the gray side, because if she's a little bit of a, you know, she has that sort of like, wow, these crayons are absolutely trash. I will be the first to admit the gray doesn't come through. Let's go with the brown. Okay, at least we can see that a little bit. Maybe we need to just zoom in just a little bit. Ooh, let's get things up close and personal. Yeah, there we go. Trying to see what lighting would complement the colors, and the problem is with this is that the light is very reflective, so we might need to turn it down a bit. I'm VC, yeah. So we can't see the light brown, but we're just going to do the light brown here all along her fur. And the reason I'm doing this live is because I didn't really want to do this digitally on my phone. I have no idea how to stream off my phone. That's safe. So I didn't consider doing that there, because I would have been like, oh, so anyway, here's the stream, and then all of a sudden I'm revealing credit card details and whatever. So yeah, that's right. I still have those fears too. And already I should have spent money on actual crayons versus pencils, because you know the problem is with this is that Jason's come prepared. You see this? Jason's come prepared. And we're going to smart, and already it's we've really reached the limit of our, that feeling of actually just, isn't it the best to sharpen a pencil? Yeah, there's me right there. I'm Stewie. Mom. So I'm gonna go over with some light browns. If we don't get a bit of the shrapnel involved, so we can lightly see the light brown. But again, this is really bad crayon, pencil crayons, or coloring pencil, sorry, more accurate. It's like, this is why you spend money on proper coloring in apparel. But if I enjoy this and it turns out well, I might actually invest in proper ones like the Cabbage has. Then I might actually consider getting some proper equipment to fulfill my needs. Let's get this little, and also I'm also very concerned about my strokes, because I want the grain to look natural, not just like I'm gonna color in this way when her feet go down. So I'm trying to go with her style and trying to sort out this part first. So the light part of her fur is a little bit done, and then we can start over here, because her fur generally goes into this like whiteness. Oh, but Chibi said start with the light color and then move up. But we're just gonna give it like a little neck over there. So like, let's fill it in a little bit. You can start seeing the color coming through. Oh, the only problem is that the camera tends to zoom in a bit. So let's give her legs again. Bloop. Whoops, a bloop. Bloop. Hey, camera. Oh, good gracious me. Okay. So I promise you this is actually brown. It's not any other color but brown. All right. Polymorphs, polychromos. You see now I just go, oh, both pencil crayons. These are not polychromos. These are nothing like that. These are just crayons. They're just crayons. They're just coloring pencils. I got to get the proper thing. You know do you see some of the sets being published on the side that was like, I was like, wow. Okay, so we're going to put this down and we're going to start giving her some shadow. Good God, do I need to, it seems like I need to wait for this to dry because that is not brown. That is not, it looks like it's brown, but it's not brown. So we're just giving her a bit of a base. Considering I haven't colored in, the last time I actually did art was that watercolor art that I posted on the other channel. Those take a long time to do, and that was actually done on my cell phone with my pen. So it was very, very difficult to do, but it was a lot easier because, you know, obviously all the colors are there when you need them. So that was a bit of a difference. So let's give her, okay, let's move on and give her a bit of a new layer of brown. And what I'll do is that I'll scan this in so that everyone can see actually what the colors look like. So today we're just talking. You want to claim a story, you can claim a story. We just want to hear a story, it's fine. Or you want to talk about something else, you know, pop in some questions. Shoot them up. We'll try to do this as quickly as possible so we can move on to the movie. But I thought this would be interesting. I've never done this before. And like I said, I've been on chat, seeing Kabarge and drawing, coloring in, and you see the amazing art that she does, and I'm like, that looks very relaxing. That looks very relaxing at all. There's the Kabarge. Hey, squishies. So yeah, it's I'm glad to see everyone has come through. Let's just, I just want to add like this line over here, so like eyeliner. I mean, I don't know if anyone here, let's blend it in a bit. If anyone else here watches this series, Lucifer, which I actually wasn't a big fan because I'm like, nah, it doesn't seem, but it's actually a very fun series. And Tom Ellis is known to wear guy liner in the show. So now every time I do like something on the side, I actually laugh. And he actually makes a joke about it in the show too. So it's like, at least he's got a sense of humor about it. Okay, so right now the fur is looking pretty so we're gonna add some streaks, pretty nice. We're not gonna go full on, and this is me sounding like as if I know what I'm talking about. We're not gonna go full on dark fur here. Just gonna try and add some streaks to make it look like that she has different layers of fur. I really should have invested in decent attire or decent crayon coloring pencil. So just gonna outline, and you know, maybe just a little bit of streaks here and there, just to and the problem is with these coloring pencils, what I have realized right now is that they're very reflective. So what you're seeing over here, where the line looks blur, is actually not a blur. It's a reflection of the crayon that I've drawn over it. I think Gigi can use some of your advice also for coloring. Yeah, as I was telling everyone, I was being inspired by your art recently, and I thought, you know, let me give it a crack and yeah, well, it's been a different day. Okay, so I'm gonna throw it out there. You know what? I'm willing to forgo the purple hate, even though in real life actually everything's purple. What color shall we draw her little cape? So we're talking about the cape, this area over here. Don't worry about the middle part. What's the cape? Because this is going to be a ruby, and I think it has to either be red or green. I mean, I don't see any other ruby. It should be either a different color. And before we continue, I need to hydrate. Ooh, green. Green. Yeah, Kabaji, colorings are really great. So, sorry, are we saying that we need the cape to be green? What do we want? Green. We want the cape to be green. Okay. All right. Well, that is an unexpected result. Red ruby. Okay, so we have 3 colors of green here, and this is the colors we're going to be using. We're going to be blending the green, so we move the rest of the purple. I'm so glad you didn't choose purple. Hydrate, everyone. Hydrate, hydrate. So we're going to be following Tubi's advice and starting with the light green, and just basically just filling out everything first. And since I've ever drawn or colored in when I was young, I've always stuck to the edges first. I don't know what it is about that, but it gave me confidence that when I colored the rest of it, I could go wild elsewhere, but as long as I knew where the edges were. And that's actually, I don't know how many of you remember. Do you guys actually remember not knowing how to color in? Because that's something I actually do remember. I know it sounds odd, but it's actually something I remember very vividly of learning how to color in and wanting to color in so badly. And one of my stories is that I absolutely love colors, and it was a result also because I was epileptic, and apparently a side effect of epileptic, which I can absolutely confirm, is that some epileptic people see colors more vividly than anyone else. So my purple and my blue, my green, they stand out like a sore thumb. But it's beautiful, but we really see colors more vividly. So some grays look very, very pretty to me, when to a normal person they're just like, it's just gray. But I'm like, no, it's amazing, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing. So my thing is that the one day I had to, it was Easter, and this is where I think the school system fails us a little bit, is we had to draw or color in an Easter egg. And I was in class 1, which is grade 1 basically. So we have, you see now that's how colors Tessa just posted a gift. That's how crayons are supposed to look, and why, I don't know how they put it in the box. So we had to color in an Easter egg, and it had different layers and it was pre-formatted, so we just needed to color it in. And I had got my first like crayons in a box or coloring. So in this, what they had given us is that they had given us this big tub box, and in it had all these different kind of pencil coloring pencils, crayons, wax crayons, normal crayons. There's these kind of like, I forget what you call them, but they're like these like, they're pastel crayons, and they smell amazing, but they're like a thick wax, and artists mainly use it. And we got all these different colors, and this to me was like the most amazing thing, because I'd spent quite a considerable amount of time at home trying to practice. And here's the one thing, I never went to preschool, which apparently is very necessary for a child's development, to go to preschool before they go to big school. And I know I'm breaking up the story here. So all the stuff that, like my brother went to preschool and all my friends went to preschool, all the stuff that they learned in preschool to prepare them for school, I didn't learn, because apparently I went there the first day and I cried my eyeballs out, and apparently it was enough to take me home. And I'm like, you didn't think to return me the next day? I just had really big attachment anxiety, and that wasn't the correct way to deal with it. And then to make things worse is when they were trying to get my brother into grade 1, I went with, and apparently I don't remember, but when they were asking my brother, what is this, what is that, like animal pictures and that, I was answering all of it. So because of that, I went into school when I was 5 years old, when the normal age is 6. So I went there completely unprepared. So I think that's a big fail. A big fail because I went there unprepared, not expecting or not understanding how to do certain things in school. So we get this egg that we had to color in. And with my epilepsy, I was seeing like gold and the grays and the black and the purples and the blues and all that. They looked amazing to me. So I colored in this egg. Unfortunately, this egg had, and that's where why I remember purple being such a thing for me. I know I made it a joke in TAS Talks, and to be perfectly honest, in real life, it is a very nice color. But I've had a history with purple, so I just joke about it. And sea urchins are purple, by the way. So the purple sea urchins that are destroying. So it just fits. And there was a YouTube video on the MMORC channel that actually said the evil purple kelp. So I just went with that. But I drew purple, black, gray, gold, and all these others, and I got into trouble. I got into trouble for coloring in. And it wasn't a nice, like, this looks disgusting. How can you do this? And she got so upset at me. And she says, get rid of that and draw it again. So I got in trouble for expressing my own artistic action, and it was so embarrassing because it was in front of the whole class, because she decided to show the whole class how terrible it is and how we must not draw. And I feel that's very opinion based and biased of the teacher, because now you're basically trying to teach a kid of what colors are right, what makes a color right. I mean, that's like pencil crayon racism. And when I redrew the egg, I redrew it not in the way that I thought was nice, but in the way that I was copying all of my friends. And when I did that, and when I did their colors, what a turnaround. They were saying, oh, this is the most, it could be pandering, but, and as young as I was, I felt like that's what it was. As young as I was like, you guys are just saying that now because you just want to be right now. And I drew the new one and I said, wow, look how amazing this is, guys. You see, you should have started off with that first. Look at this, it's one of the best drawings. And then what ended up happening is that they were going to vote who would be the best drawing, and I put my one up in the first class. You know how upset the other kids were, and they started making like, oh, I see how it is. And I'm like, it's not fair because his first drawing was rubbish. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be on the list there. I don't want to be. And they sent it home to my mom, and my mom's like, this is a beautiful drawing. This is amazing. And I remember showing my mom the other drawing, and her disappointment, like a mix of face that she didn't find it appealing at all. But she's, yeah, but they didn't like this one. Sharpen your pencil. JJ, make it easier. I did sharpen it just now. And oh god, these are one of those horrible sharpeners. I bought everything cheap. This is why you can't buy things that are cheap. So yeah, and even mom was like, no, that's not really nice colors, but in my mind, I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've drawn, because in my mind, I was seeing it completely different to obviously what they were seeing. I don't know what was so bad about those colors. I have no idea why they took that approach and felt that it was rubbish colors. But all I thought was, hey, you know what? This isn't fair. You've now made me not like coloring in, and I'm going to be scared every time I did that. Lucky enough I grew out of it, but I mean, my art classes following that, I was always a top person, even right up to like grade 8. I was always the top person in my art class, but I always had that fear, like, will I draw, or is what I'm going to draw be appreciated by these people, or am I, and it put a complex on me. And unfortunately, it's something that stuck with me. I mean, I did speech and drama, and I was nervous as heck to do that. That was a big extension of myself, because I get stage fright very easy. I mean, when we used to sing, we used to have lessons to sing in school. I used to keep my mouth closed. I didn't want to sing. I felt so embarrassed and I felt so odd. And then the teacher walked up to me and says, are you sick? And I said, no. Then sing. And again, to me, I'm like, why am I being forced to do something I don't want to do that's actually not going to have any value in my life per se? No one would explain to me you should sing. They didn't say why I should sing and if it was going to improve my life, or you might want to think about it as a career afterwards. No one ever explained that to me. So it was very off-putting. So I did speech and drama, but the thing is I also got teased for doing speech and drama, because anyone who did speech and drama in that day and age, if you're a boy person, it was wrong to do. It's, it's like you play sports, you do things, you don't do speech and drama. Yet most of the people that used to tease me ended up doing speech and drama later on in years. So I blame my primary school for actually changing my perception of things, because I would have loved to do speech and drama, and I probably would have had less anxiety if my first introduction to the art world, so to speak, wasn't such a negative one. And, I ended up drawing things on my own, and I pursued my own thing. I mean, I don't really do it anymore, and unfortunately, I've been trying to find it, but I actually used to draw comics when I was small, funny comics like with a dog and things like that I went to the newspapers for it, and the dude said, listen, obviously it doesn't work like that. We can't just put someone in, everything's established. But he asked me for photostat copies because he wanted to take it home and show his kids. And I ended up drawing a whole series for him, and every week I'd take it to the newspaper and this editor and give it to him until I eventually no longer wanted to do that. It was too much, but he absolutely loved it. And it was about a dog. And I need to find this because it was very funny. It was very local. And when I first went to him with my first iteration, he says he loved my drawings, but it needs to be more local. It needs to be more South African. And so I had to change my goal, but he loved those first ones. So much so that me and my brother have a weird relationship. We don't compliment each other very much, but that's one of the few things where my brother was like, I like this drawing, I like this comic. Tiny Tuber's relationship with her sister is like miles apart from what I have with my brother. We're very competitive, but that's one of the things where he liked those drawings. He actually liked what I drew, and he remembered the characters. So that was pretty cool to me. And if we get fights, when you get in fights, you want to destroy your siblings' stuff, and sometimes we'd get to that stage. But the comics were never touched. The drawings were never touched. So I mean, he's torn other books, but that was like, nope, don't touch the comics. But I think it's still in Cape Town under storage. So, And yeah, if I ever draw again, it's also a thing of being patient. Like, you've seen Tiny Tuber. Oh, see, look at this. Look at this. Look at what's going on there. It takes a lot of patience. A lot of patience. A lot of patience. And I used to have my own desk in my room in the corner, and it was just me doing art and doing drawings and things like that. And I got quite good, but then it is like doing a bicycle. It is something that if you don't keep on it and you don't practice, you're still able to draw. You just tend to forget, or not forget, you tend to need to learn how to do it again. It's like riding a bicycle. They say, oh, you just get on and ride. No, but at that first couple of meters, you're like, whoa. It's like, what's going on with this bike? Why is it doing such things? But yeah, it's a different time in life, a different part of my life where I focused on other things. I mean, I am actually a graphic designer by trade, but that even got reduced. I ended up going from being a graphic designer of like designing things and drawing it to them just making adverts, which is very uncreative in the graphic design world in terms of making adverts. There is creativity, but you don't get to draw anything yourself really. It's like product placement and things. So that's the route that ended up going with graphic design. Ended up being an advert, and then ended up getting into advertising. So that's where that happened. But unfortunately, due to that first thing of happening to me as a child, it developed my fear of anything related to like speech and drama and things like that. And I would still do it, and I would get A's. I would get A's for doing speech and drama. But it's that fear that, oh, what if someone doesn't like what I'm doing? Am I going to get the same sort of reprimanding that I got when I drew my colored egg in purple? And they didn't like me drawing it in purple. And I got in so much trouble. I need to sharpen this again. Are we sending flashy gifts? Rules, after me just saying that I was epileptic. You know what I hate about using pencil crayons? I actually hate when our pencil crayons get shorter than everything else. I have such OCD about this. How's this looking, by the way? I know you can't really see it, but I think it's turning out quite nice. And you can't see the contours of the green. So you won't actually see that. I'm using my fingers to smudge things in, because I feel if this thing, oh, it's actually working well. Saving grace crayons. I keep calling them crayons when they're pencils. They're not crayons. I'm wondering. I've never tried this. Oh. Yeah, because that's another thing. They never told me that some erasers you could actually use on coloring drawings, and no one ever taught me that in school. So there we go. That actually made my life a bit easier. I will admit, there are some kids that, geez, they're at a certain age and they still don't know how to color in. And I'm sorry, there's no kid that's stupid. I don't believe that. There's no such thing. Every kid, but it is a parent's responsibility to help out your child in the way. I mean, when they say, oh, she's 3 years old and she's not talking, there must be something wrong. And me, I'm like, no, not really, because your previous child was fine. And yeah, if you actually go to the doctor and they find out they have a mental disability, sure. But when they don't, I'm like, that all comes with education. I've always believed that if I ever have a child and things like that, the first thing I'm going to do is give him a musical instrument, or her. I'm not saying it him or her. There will definitely be a musical instrument involved. They can have any choice of the musical instrument, but I feel that is a very, very powerful way to empower your child to do something creative and to let them explore that creativity and to let them be what they want to be, no matter how crazy it sounds, no matter what it is. It's their stimulation. Like when the trainers stimulate the otters and things like that, and that it's like they're doing what they want to do. It's not what they have to do. They're choosing to do that, and I feel choice is very important. You give them a musical instrument, you let them explore that. I have a super cheap coloring pencil and I love all of them. Now, I agree about the supplies of that. But when, as mentioned, it's like, you won't never see that, but I did do art school up to a certain point. I know the difference between a really cheap pencil crayon and how it actually, when you color in, the way it actually spreads. It's like, gosh, I forget the name. It'll come to me. There's a special name for it. But when you're actually drawing, and the way it actually, first of all, falls off the pencil itself, the way it bonds to the paper, and the shards that are left behind, how big they are, is very important to the quality of the pencil. Very important, because that's what you use to smudge, and also that's what fills in the gap. Like, you have to go over a place 20 times to just get a color in. Things need to be even. So these were very, very cheap. Very, very cheap. Drawing a sunset with crayons. Yeah, I love drawing when I was younger. I love entering those competitions. Like, it didn't matter if I won, I just wanted it displayed on the top. So we're going to give a bit of shadow here. Maybe we go for... Is there a gray in the house? Thank you, there's a gray in the house. Because you don't want it too dark. We just want to add some shadow. And then smudge, 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 smudge. Someone asked me earlier, is the drawings that I did on for the otters, were those real drawings or digital? That was digital. And that's what I like about digital, is that you have any tool that you want at your disposal without the cost, without the forking out for pastel or oil colors. Oil colors, that's what they were. Oil crayons. Oh, I love oil crayons. Too bad they're so bad for the environment, but I love oil crayons. Okay, we're gonna make this a bit special. Let's go in for the jewel. I know I'm bouncing around there. Going in with an orange. I want to make it look fiery. I feel bad. My traditional art tools. I'm a alcoholic markers, a million colored pencil graphics, and I do everything digitally. But you know what? It's let's put it this way. You know, you feel bad that you think you're neglecting those items. That's great that they don't have feelings though, but you're not, because you know what? Those, you never know how valuable those might become in future, in terms of not just I'm not talking about monetary, but in terms of emotionally, sentimental. And you know, then you have something to pass down. I mean, I haven't got it yet, but my late grandfather left me all his drawings and his art. But I never actually got it. My parents convinced me to keep it at my grandmother's place, which is fine. But I mean, it still meant a lot to me because he was amazing at drawing. And he's the reason I got into wanting to color things and draw things. Again, you guys would never see it because I don't do the digital thing. I don't have the file. It's not something I've really contributed towards. But if I could, if it was easy to draw things on paper and transfer it easily to make that, but that's the thing. And at the same time, like TinyTuber with the Taz talks and things like that, you know, it's like that takes time. And I'm glad she has the patience for it, because I feel I wouldn't as much. And even if tomorrow I found a way how to draw Taz Talks and I was like, yeah, I would never, ever draw it. Because there's something unique about that art. There's something unique. It does take time. Yeah, I know it takes time. Trust me, I know. There's something unique about that art. And, you know, you never want to take away from that. You know, if something starts off with like, you know, like those series that are directed by a certain person, or they have a certain cast member, and then that cast member gets removed for horrible reasons or whatever it is, and then they cast someone new in the place, it's never the same. You know, it's never the same. So you got to keep that original thing. And I won't lie, I know TinyTuber is here, but the fact that someone else goes through that time to draw it, whew, because don't get me wrong, it's a lot quicker to the drawing process is a lot quicker than the recording process. But even on the recording process, it's not as easy as it looks, because I actually have to be in that emotional state. I mean, even when I send clips to trainers and I ask them, can you send this to me in your angriest voice? 90% of the time, I don't actually get it in that angry voice that I'm imagining or envisioning. It's like an attempt, but it's like it's holding back. So I never really get it in the way that I... So there has... That part to me is like, it's not just reading out lines. Which I am going to start doing, what I want to do, and if you guys want to do it, where I review my old Taz Talk videos and I go through it and we can, you know, talking about the different, what we went through to create it and the emotional side of it. I mean, there's some things that I really enjoy that I watched, like if TinyTuber sends me the artwork, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And it's like, even I had such a reaction to Hardy's tail on his neck. I mean, ponytail, the wagtail. I was like, what the heck? Those kind of things, but also like the direction that we took. Like some of it is actually hectically planned. Other times it's like you have free reign to to do it. And even there's occasions where I'm like, can we have this scene look like this? And then TinyTuber will come back with a completely different scene, and for 2 seconds I might be like, oh, this wasn't what I thought, but it comes out so much better, and I was like, that's why she's the artist. It actually comes out so much better, and I was like, okay, well, this actually works out. And yeah, and then it's actually trying to match the script, but I also want to cover like my favorite parts recording in terms of voicing, because some of it, here's the thing, when I'm recording, I do play it back, but it's without the animation, and there's some parts that I skip through or skim through, so I don't actually listen to it in the way that I absolutely know it's going to happen. So when I'm watching Taz Talks, I'm actually completely removed from what I'm actually seeing. It's new to me because the voice now matches the artwork, and some of Tazlina's reactions, I laugh at it because the way I recorded it and the way it came out was like parallels. And then I get some of it I get very disappointed at, and I'm like, oh, I should have done this. However, there's other parts where I'm like, wow, that came out so well. The tone, the way they sounded that was angry, is awesome. Yeah, and funny enough, that's one of the things I wanted to get into, but it was one of those things where, again, where the adults in my life at the time stifled me and made it seem like it was a very bad idea. And I know people say it's never too late, but I was just trying to find the time to study it. I mean, I just picked up piano late in life, which is always a meme. Like, even the jokes are like, it's like being really difficult. It's like taking up a musical instrument at a late age, and it's really true. But I've always been okay with being on the microphone for some reason, despite the fact I get stage fright and have major anxiety. I almost don't want to finish Katma. I want to get to the rocks. So we're just going to write a little B there. Or Blair. Blair. A Blair. And a Blair. Because we want a variation. That one shall be a grr. A grr. Ooh, this gray is terrible. Oh, this is a terrible gray. We're going to need to filter that. We're going to need to do something about that. Yeah, this is like horrible crayons or coloring pencils. Yeah, that piano evening, clown music playing in the background. There's no clown music playing in the background today, is there? What music? What music? I hope there's no. There can be. There can be music in the background. Okay, so next. We're 42 minutes in this. I actually like the way that this is fallen into Katma, but I mean it's not final yet. It's like her white face. Let's get into her snoot. So yeah, so my main thing is like it's amazing how important it is and how much impact you can have on a child with just simple words. And you know, I believe in discipline. Of course I do. That's a good thing. But there are certain things that when it comes to that, to not stuffing. If they're asking for a toy, sure. But if they want to say, I want to do this, you know, why tell a child, oh, you'll never make money doing that? You know, why is that always the criteria for someone to be successful? Because how many people actually have money that feel lost and don't feel successful? And shouldn't the success come with the struggle of trying to get to that point where you've made a name for yourself because you're so good at what you do, you become indispensable? And yes, you don't have money, but you know, I read this, since JJ talked about Taz Talks, old Joe. Yeah, I mean, look at the improvements just there. I mean, maybe I can just quickly try and bring it up here. For those watching, I want to just try and bring it up. You might just whoops. I wonder if this will work. Nah, let's just see. Let's copy the link and see if it brings it up. Yeah, there we go. I mean, that's Tiny Tuber on her first TAS talks. Look how different it is in terms of how chunky Joey's got, but also how the head was drawn, and how they generically all look the same for minor details, and the evolution from that to that, it's like miles apart. I mean, these are still good, but I mean, this is definitely a lot better. It's yes, and the fact you guys watch every week and commit is the reason why it's like there are some days where I'm like, oh, do I really need to record today? And then my brain's like, yeah, you want to record today. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like choose your pain. Choose your pain. And when I mean choose your pain, I mean like there are some things in life we absolutely don't like doing. We don't want to do. And we fill our lives up with situations that complicate our lives, that are hurtful and painful. And when I mean you choose your pain, you choose the pain that is going to benefit you and that's easy to solve. So if you're going through a lot in your life, I always, and this came from advice, years of advice, and even read a little book, and I feel it works. If you have a lot going on in your life, you first work on the thing that you can immediately solve or control, because not a lot of things in our life we can control. So hardly anything that happens to us, I believe, is actually our fault. It's not, we didn't cause it. The greatest story, but it's all our responsibility. So anything that happens to us, whether we chose for it to happen to us, is our responsibility and how we deal with it. And the best story I ever heard is, imagine someone leaves a baby at your door. Okay, you don't have kids, you don't have nothing, and it leaves a child at your door. Now, there's three things you can do because you see this baby. You can either call child services and get them to come through and help the child, or actually it's kind of four things, or you can just simply ignore the baby and be like, this isn't my problem, and walk away and leave it neglect. You can end up looking after it. Let's pretend there's a world that you actually are legally allowed to do that. You can end up looking after it. Or you can be horrible and do like a bag of kittens and dump it in the river, which is a very horrible thing. It's a metaphoric baby. Let's not get panicked. But no matter what you do, you've taken a responsibility to fulfill that action. Even ignoring your child, if you say that's not my responsibility, that is a responsible action that you took. You dealt with that responsibility by not taking it. So it's that's what I mean by choosing your pain. You could either deal with it or you could ignore it, but you're still taking a form of action. And then if you ignore it, how do you feel about it? Oh, what are you doing about it? And one of the best stories I heard is like, this dude wanted to become a rock star. He wanted the fame, he wanted the fortune, he wanted that. But the thing is, he wanted the fame and fortune of it. He wanted the end of it. But he didn't want the struggle to get there. He didn't want to lug around equipment. He didn't want to practice. He didn't want to play a musical instrument. He just wanted to get to that point where he's famous. So every year he was in high school, he kept telling himself, okay, while I'm in high school, I still need to study. When I get money, I'll buy an instrument. Then he left high school. He says, okay, well, now I need a proper job, and then I'll buy a musical instrument, and then I'll start practicing. And then he's like, oh, well, I'm getting 30 now, might be a bit too late. And then he realized that it wasn't the fact that he was delaying it for whatever reasons. He realized he didn't want to actually do that. He wanted to be a rock star, but he didn't want to be a musician. He didn't want to go through that struggle. And that's the most important part, is that anyone who's successful, I mean, I'm using Tiny Tuber as an example, using myself as an example. Us staying up to draw these things or voice record, that's part of the struggle. And the struggle is what is important. It's important to growth. It's important to accomplishment. You feel more success. That's why anyone who does anything on a voluntary basis, I turn a nose up when they say I had to sacrifice myself or my life to get this done. And I'm like, to be perfectly honest, if you're really, really 100% passionate about something, you're going to make smart choices. First of all, you're going to evaluate in your life whether you should be in a capacity to entertain anything else. If you choose to, then you're taking on responsibilities. You're taking on pains. You're taking on pains that you shouldn't be taking on. You've made that decision. But for someone to come up and say, I've sacrificed my life to get this done, it's, to me, I'm actually the opposite. Because it's a passion. When I record, I feel like, I have to sacrifice my recording time to eat. I have to sacrifice my recording time to go shopping. Even when I was a very avid gamer, I used to be like, I have to sacrifice my gaming time because I have to do work. Do you see how it works in the other way around? It's not the other things that you're sacrificing. You're sacrificing your passion to do those other things. It's a difference. So when people use that line where they say, I sacrificed my relationship to get this job done, and it's been a burden, I'm like, no, then you haven't either you haven't really been invested in what you're doing and it's not a passion, or you've just used this as an excuse. You've just used it as an excuse to push that other thing away. You didn't sacrifice anything. You chose that action. You chose to neglect that other person because you want to pursue your passion. But at the same time, again, if you're going to pursue something extensively, you should know in your heart, am I ready to take on a relationship? And not everyone does that. Not everyone takes that initiative to think, I'm not ready, because they don't want to be alone. But, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. You can be in a relationship with someone and still feel alone. But that's the thing, is that choosing your pain. So it's a bit roundabout going. I mean, some of these streams are very difficult to do on a day where it's been work, but I will stop and I will do the stream because I chose my pain. I choose, this is my struggle, and what stops being from a struggle is that then it becomes a break. I'm like, I know I still have work to do, but I'm going to take a break and do this stream, do this AMA, or do this Friday night game night, because it's my escape. And again, the sacrifice is me having to make the stream short because I still have to work. It's not me sacrificing my work life. I'm sacrificing my stream time. It's the opposite way around, because that's where my passion is. And unfortunately, I'm in the position where my work is also my passion. So those are my pains. So I get that feedback a lot. Like, are you happy with where you are in your life? I'm like, yeah, because I've chosen what I want to deal with in my life, and what I don't want to deal with in my life, and who I want in my life and who I don't want in my life. And I'm realistic about it. I don't jump into anything, or don't take on any task which I know is going to fill up my life too much that I won't have time for these other things. It's about management. Yeah, it is. I'm in marketing, so I get to be very creative. I think the worst part of my job is dealing with people that think they know what my job is. That's the only thing that irritates me on my entire job. Because why would you call a plumber? Take for example, to fix your pipes, and as your plumber gets, because you're not a plumber, as your plumber gets there, you sit over them and tell them maybe you should use the monkey wrench too, or maybe you should. Is it maybe not the leak? The plumber's going to turn around and say, ma'am, sir, can I please just do my job? And I get that a lot in my job, where people ask me to come help them because it's not their skill. And when I get there, they start trying to tell me what works. And I'm like, well, this is going to work on social media. We got to get more likes. We got to get more followers. And I'm like, that's actually not the important part. No, you're wrong. But they act like they know from what they see. That's the only part of my job I really, really don't enjoy. It's when people act like they're professionals and that they know what they're going at. And what's the worst part is that very few have ever chosen to listen and say, let me explain how it actually works. Because not only do I get to explain to you how it actually works, but guess what? I get to show you. I get to show you how it works, so that you can see it with your eyes what the truth is. And so many of them turn up their nose because they just don't want to be wrong, or they don't want to make it look like as if they're wrong. And I'm like, that's also another part. Again, it goes back to choosing your pain. Part of choosing your pain is knowing to admit you've made a mistake, because then how are you going to learn? How are you going to grow out of that? And too many people use ego. And I hate saying this on stream and that, but it's almost why I have such a big problem. I've come out of meetings saying I hate rich old white men. Because most of the accounts that I've lost in that and things like that is because there's someone at the top that has an amazing amount of skill for the job they do, but knows nothing about anything else. But because they're in such a position of authority, and because they have developed such a persona and reputation and ego, if you tell them they're wrong, even for things that they don't know how to do, they get upset. I mean, I got retrenched in that way. Because I said a director wasn't social media savvy. And what I meant is that they weren't skilled in that area of operation, so they shouldn't. And the thing is that someone approved an artwork that I didn't do, but it was in my team, approved an artwork that had plagiarized material on it. They had taken an image of another franchise, another vehicle franchise, and just pasted over our vehicle. And I'm like, that's plagiarism. And the director approved it. The director approved it. And I'm like, no, it must come through me because I need to analyze it. No, but the director approved it. I'm like, I understand, director, but just know, and this is the tone, just know that he's not Facebook savvy, so he won't understand how you made this, how you did this, and you could get all of us into trouble. And when I brought this up, all they heard was, I'm not Facebook savvy. That was ego. Because I'm like, I'm trying to do my job here, but dealing with Rich Radka, advertising world in natural, it is changing, and it is changing a lot. So I'm hopeful for that. I mean, the best dealerships that I do business with, and we have a lot, my most popular dealer, or I have two dealerships that work so well together. I work so well with them, 3 actually. And the people I report to, and I'm not just saying this for any sake, are women. So whether it's a director or a dealer principal, the dealerships that I do the best with are the ones with females. Because I think it's like they totally removed what about arguments? I am not Facebook savvy. Well, exactly. But to actually tell someone like, you're not Facebook savvy, or you're not skilled in this area of work, why would you get offended? It's like, one of the jokes that I heard, and it was so funny, was, if you're not skilled in something, why pretend to act like you are or get offended when you're not? And at the same time, you don't have to know that job to know that something has gone wrong. And that's what happened a lot. Is like, I know the sales director, I kept saying like, we shouldn't promote the project like that. And please don't tell me how to do my job because I know it. But at the same time, I was also on the stage of being like, I don't think this guy is doing his job properly because he hasn't really gone through the processes that I'm used to, that I'm normal, that I know. And it's not about knowing that, it's a bit of the arguments like, yes, you don't have skill in social media, and I'm not a sales director, but I know that there's a process of when a sale goes out that you need to do. And someone says, well, how would you know if you've never been in that field? I'm like, I've been around it enough to know certain processes. Like, let me put this as an example. This was the separation of someone saying they know how something works. And I think the best, I forget who said it, says, don't say something is going to work if you don't know how it works. But that's with mediation. So the difference is like, if you see a helicopter fly and land into a tree, and you look at that helicopter and you point at it, you don't have to be a pilot to know and say, that pilot fucked up. You don't need to be a helicopter pilot to know someone made a mistake and that pilot cocked up. But the return of that is that you don't get to tell a pilot how to fly. So you can easily spot when someone's done something wrong, But you shouldn't also then sit there and dictate that you're a pilot. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but it's that logic. How are you looking so far? Is Katma appeasing you? Let me add a bit more brown to it first. See, it's not really coming out. JJ needs watercolor pens. I know, but I couldn't find them today. I was shopping on a Sunday. The stream came to me like in the late afternoon, and I went out shopping, and I was like, you know what? I should get crayons, and Tiny Tube was feeling like I should get crayons. So I didn't. There's no stationery stores open. It was a local supermarket, and they didn't have the widest selection of colors. And I prefer doing watercolors. You've seen my drawings that I've submitted. Watercolors are the best. So we are dealing with what we have. Okay, we're dealing with what we have, and I'm just randomly. Come on, there a little bit of dusty dust, little bit of dust, little bit of dust. I had a very interesting story that I want to share, and I love sharing the story when we're talking about the type of things that you should let bother you and that you shouldn't. And I'll link, because it's one of my favorite books. It's just I can't tell the title off stream because it's quite a hectic stream. But he says, and it goes back to the choose your pain thing of like what you let bother you and whether or not it's necessary to let it bother you. And one story is that there were these two people in separate parts of their life. And this is a true story. Two people, and both of them were in a band. So we start with the first story. The first one was in a very popular band, and they were about to do their first recording, their first album recording. They were going to go into the studio the next day. And what happened is that the rest of his band, early in the morning, the day before the recording, so excited, walked into his bedroom and gave him a bus ticket and said, we don't want you in the band anymore. You have to go. And but read the serious comments above JJ. Dealing with Richard. Good. Men are threatened by JJ. Yes. No, they are. But no, they're not all threatened by me. It depends. I'm a helicopter one. But okay, so the story was that what should we make this color? Damn it, we're running out of that this band member, now that got pushed out of his band, was so angry. He said, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to get back at these guys in a way that I'm going to be more successful than them. I'm going to be better than them. I'm going to form my own band. I'm going to show them that I don't need them to become successful. And he scoured everywhere to find some of the best musicians in the world. And guess what? He ended up becoming extremely popular. He ended up in the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame. So I forgot to say that it was heavy metal. He pioneered a genre that is very, very niche at the time. And he got millions, and he sold multiple records. And that person was the lead band member of Megadeth. Now, you may have never heard of them, but I can guarantee you somewhere in your life you've seen their shirts around. You've seen their outfits. And the term Megadeth was from this band. And he went platinum, and he was rich. He was beyond his wealth. But he never let go of what this band did to him. Because the other band was Metallica. So this man spent the rest of his life measuring his success compared to Metallica. And even when they did an interview later on in his life, when he's old, he had success in that. He says he accomplished a lot, but the one thing he will always regret is when he got kicked out of Metallica and how he could not reach their level. And the problem is that he ended up completely ignoring his own success because he always measured it to someone else. to another person. And yeah, it was Metallica. Holy crap, that's not small. But still, he never measured to his own success. So the story of this other guy was he was also in a band. And he was very popular. And again, exact same scenario. They were going to record the next day. And a week before that, the band members had walked up to the manager and said, we want to get rid of this band member. And the manager liked him a lot. He actually said, I don't think we should get him. He's very good looking. He's very skilled in what he did. In fact, the manager actually wanted to make him the face of the band because he was so skilled and he was so good looking. And they said, no, we want him out. So like a week or day before they actually decided to do the recording deal, they ended up hiring someone a lot older and actually less skilled than the previous band member. But that other person, the second person, ended up going through with the band right up until the band disbanded. That person who took over this other character that the manager wanted to keep was Ringo Starr. So that was the Beatles. However, this other band member ended up settling down, ended up getting a somewhat successful business and got married and had a few kids. And he absolutely loved that life. He absolutely loved it. He actually said he tried to do the band thing afterwards, but he realized it wasn't for him, and he was most content with what he had. He met someone, and that's the life he wanted to lead. And you may see it, you may Google it, which is, he says the ironic part of that is that that's what the rest of the band members, even like John Lennon and Paul McCartney and all of them, tried to achieve later on in life, that privacy, having a family, which they still struggled with quite a bit. They ended up wanting what he had. And the difference in the stories is that you have two of the exact same situations happened. But one was extremely happy and the other was not, because they constantly compared themselves to one thing or another, where the one didn't measure his success based on this band members that pushed them away. Didn't make it a problem in his life. He decided, well, it's happened. It's crap. I need to move on with my life. Versus this other person that achieved such success. So much success. Yet, he still had regrets late in life because he didn't end up being as successful as someone else or people that actually had no relevance to him anymore. It's quite sad because he could have been happy just saying, what have I done? What have I accomplished? What does my life look like? Instead, he goes and says, how have I achieved my success? What have the other guys done? And it was like, they're Metallica. So they've done quite a bit. But yeah, and that's a learning lesson. It's choose your pain. And when I got retrenched, I had the decision to make. My parents wanted me to sell everything. They wanted me to give away Sahara. They wanted me to do this, and I hang on. And they said, well, what you going to do? And I woke up every morning at 6 a.m. and I went to bed 12 o'clock night applying for jobs. I must have sent 1 million freaking CVs out there until I got the opportunity to start my own business, which was already run by someone else. But he says, do you want to come work with me? And I was scared about that because I've never done that before in my life. I'd never done that before. And in that process, while I was doing that, I actually ended up applying for a job which got offered to a friend of mine, but she didn't want to take it. And I went in there and applied my job. But because I was already on this guy's boat, I was very honest in my interviews and questions. I was not scared. I was like, I don't know if I'm actually going to take this because I'm starting a job here. I'm starting a job, or I'm starting a business. Yeah, I'm hydrating. Okay, I've hydrated. I can't tell a story about hydrating. So here's the story. So how I started my business. And my business partner had already been running with it. He's only had 2 clients at the time. And I put out an end, I'm looking for this job, and he came and approached me. And we went to see his current clients, and I really liked the vibe of it. And I had to make a decision if I wanted to continue with this and make it a business, a proper business, or take this other job. And so when I went to the interview with this other job, it was so funny. I was so honest in the questions when it gave me a practical. It says, would you put this advert next to that advert? I said, no, I'd never do this or put this advert into there because the text is too big and who would ever use this drawing? This is ridiculous. I would never do that. And then they asked me math question. I'm like, I'm applying for a social media position. I'm not trying to solve quantum theory. And they hired me. They said, can you come work for us? At that point, I had made the decision. I had chosen my pain. I had made the decision that I was going to start this own business with this friend of mine. And I was going to be fully committed. I wasn't going to do it halfway. I was going to fully commit. Also, because of the way I got horribly retrenched, I wasn't that keen to work for someone again, because it was, again, an old white man that just basically said, you're not worth it anymore. And it's funny because that ended up failing. They ended up retrenching the people that were supposed to replace me immediately afterwards. And they ended up asking my company years later if they could help social media without realizing that I worked for them, or that I was actually directors. And I said, no, I don't. You had your opportunity. So, but I worked hard when I got retrenched. I didn't give up. I didn't let up. I used that pain that I had to wake me up every morning and push. And when this opportunity came, I made the business legitimate. I got a PTY Limited, I got an accountant, I got everything, and we hit the ground running. And I haven't turned back since. And you know what the irritating thing is that so many people say, well, thank goodness, thank goodness that person retrenched you. And I'm like, no. That was the worst, horrible experience of my life, because it was constructed retrenchment. They made a deal with me so that I wouldn't go to a lawyer and things like that. They said, well, let's retrench you and give you a package, but your agreement is you don't say what happened here. That's basically what they did. And I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I had bad advice. But I never owe them anything. I said, no, I didn't do this. I'm not where I am because of what they did. I am where I am in spite of what they did. And that's the difference. I did it in spite of what they did. So, I mean, now what am I going to do with this fur? So, I mean, we've had that happen with us already. You all know about the scenarios and things like that. I'm not going to really talk about it, but we've been pushed out of places. I've been pushed out of places that didn't agree with my terminology, or they got angry that I wasn't involved. It's been throughout my, or they just were upset that we were getting more popular than them in any point. And I could have just easily rolled up into a ball and walked away and said, I'm not doing this anymore. But I believe if you ever want to show anyone what you're worth, is that you show them with your success. But the thing there, what I've learned, is that I don't go out of my way to prove it to them. I go out of the way to prove it to myself. The rest tends to fall into place. Because you remember that band memo I talk about? I don't want to be like, oh, that other channel has 70,000 views, or that other person draws better than me. No, I look at what I've done for myself. And I'm happy where we are, even with the channel. And I'm happy where I am, because I'm like, I've achieved this, and it's great for me. I've achieved something for me. And yeah, and the rest tends to fall into place, that those other people and that, they might still be bothered by things. They might still consume their lives and energy trying to disrupt and dismay and always be like, no, that was shit. But you know what? That's their pain. Again, we're talking about pain. That's their pain. They get to live through that every day. I choose not to. I choose not to bother myself with those things. So, why am I making this blue? I don't know. I just feel like making it blue. Oh, she's turning out so pretty, isn't she? Oh, he's have always wanted. I'm in digital marketing. I'm in digital marketing and graphic design. But I don't do the graphic design much anymore. I hired someone to do it for me. Let me just quickly. Gustav voice. I forgot to turn it off. You want me to do Gustav voice? Gustav voice. Hello, Manuel. Welcome to Drawing a Fart Katmai. By the way, what are we going to make Katmai's face? Should we put a little bit of the orange or the yellow around her eyes to give her a little bit of flavor? You know, this is the part of the drawing that is a little bit difficult because I don't know what to draw on the face. Others not today. Yes, besides I'm not going to be doing Katmai's voice. I'm not going to be doing the other voices because it's a bit weird when you can see my hands. We need to put Katmai on and ask her comments about the beautiful art on herself. Well, little sacre. Well, you can get the Katmai on it. Which is this? Yes, you can say what we're going to do with the face over here. I don't know which colors to pick. I need Cabbage or Tiny Tuber's assistance in this measurement. Let's do some bit of a warm cheeks. I'm trying to envision this in my mind and it's not working well. This is the most useless one we have today. I guess we can filter in the... No, does not work. So you want Katmai. Okay, well, first of all, I need to hydrate. White pencil, I know. I guess if you had a black sheet, that would make sense. How did you build your voice talent? It's not actually that that much. I've always just loved doing it. I've always loved entertaining, being funny. So I just like playing the fool. I know, and I know that you want a more elaborate answer, but I love playing the fool, and I love being charismatic to the point where I've had a 20-year-old say, "Oh, you're being so mature with those voices." I'm like, "Yeah, but did you laugh? Did you enjoy it?" I'm like, but it's just I don't know. It's some people have an ear for it. Like I'm one of my I don't really enjoy the comedy that much, but Trevor Noah is one of the most inspirational people. And there's another people point where they do impressions of accents like down to the T. It's amazing to me. But I always enjoy, and there's some voice actors out there that are so impressive at what range they can. I really think it's built in, but it's not something I really inspired to do. Like I want to do voices. I did want to become a voice actor, but that's for different reasons. I like that emotional reading out and just like what I do with Tassilk. It's actually very fun for me to do those. But the voice part of it, the actual different accents in that's actually not something that I've devoted time to. I can't explain. It's just something that I do. But it did help that me and my brother grew up in such a way that we always were being comedic. We invented weird characters with each other that even my dad does now. So we do this old man impression, which is so weird, and has not aged well. And every time we see, or my dad sees me, we're like, "Shady, so good to see you, man." It's so aged because that's not what an old person sounds like at all. But it was the voice, like, "Shady, when I was just a boy." But it's different now because I do a better old man impression now. But we did this a lot when we were young. But the Katmai voice, this voice, it was actually different. Katmai, if I can tell the story in Katmai's voice of how I developed Katmai's voice, it actually started as a joke. Me and my brother was very young, and spoiler alert. And if you if you're easily offended, this might not go well, but we used to put blankets over our heads to look like nuns. And my brother used to have a character called Sister Agnes. So there was Sister Agnes who wore glasses and was very strict. And there was another sister, Sister Abigail, who was not strict. She was very polite, like, "Okay, kids, everyone go to sleep." And we used to do impromptu shows for each other. But Sister Agnes was one of the best because she was very strict. She wore glasses like, "How dare you? Who does this?" And that's how the voice of Sister Agnes came to be. And it's also what I use now, because obviously she's queen and the queen's something like that, but it actually started off as Sister Agnes. The very strict nun. Like, what are you doing? To the point that I used to use Sister Agnes when I lived with my roommates, and anything time they did something rude or crude, if it was in that way, I used to walk up to them and like, what are you doing? Are you misbehaving? How dare you do that? How dare you wear that war around the house, that frock? It's so revealing. I used to do things like that, her Sister Agnes, to the point that the roommates remembered her and they still ask about the Sister Agnes. Yes, it's been around since my childhood, since my teens, because I couldn't do this voice when I was young, but it's been around since my teens. Sister Agnes. It's also because we also used to do Dane Edna. Do you know who Dane Edna was? Supposed to use the points? Apologize, I missed that part. Yes, well, there are points there, but too many people asked me how about Katmai. So, Dane Edna, we used to do Dane Edna, and I don't know why. And we... It's, hello, Possums, it's so good to see you again. Marge, what are you doing, darling? Hello, Possums. What a fantastic day, isn't it? Yes, it is. You know, I remember when I used to go fishing with Marge. Oh, what a great time. But I remember the one day I was fishing and I caught a giant marlin. You know, those things with the big things. And I reeled it in. I thought, no, I'm going to reel this in. And as I pulled it in, it jumped off onto the deck and its little snout went right into my thighs. Did you think it was a video? Chili's on that side. No. Yeah, we used to do Dan Edna. We always, I don't know what it was, we always had a joke that every time we did a story about her, something would happen that she would get injured in her thighs. And it became a bit of a crude thing that every time we did something, I know it sounds odd, but Dane Edna became sort of the epitome of being crude, or should I say a bit sexualized and things like that. And we even had the face of what we used to do. So if we for any reason, it was just so stupid, like we walked past and accidentally bumped hands against each other's, we'd immediately go and Dane Edna like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why, but it just became a thing. We had a weird childhood growing up in that way, that Dane Edna became like the epitome of like, oh, hello, darlings. And it's not the best. It's definitely not Dane Edna. So it's just something. We used to love the show and we used to pretend to be Dane Edna for comic relief. Just trying to create the full Dane Edna experience for everyone. Posting Dane Edna with the purple prism. Oh, yes, darling. Oh, Possums. Oh, you know, the crudeness, I forget, the crudeness came is because she used to have that show of Neighborhood Watch, and she used to break into people's, or she used to go into people's houses and find such weird things in that house. It was so weird. So it was always a bit crude. But it wasn't Marge, it was Madge. Please invite your brother to our stream. No, he's not. He's not that way inclined, and he's not. We've also definitely grown different. So, or later in life, we've grown different personalities. So he's sort of grown out of certain things like that. So he wouldn't necessarily be on a march. Although he has recorded things for his things that were quite funny. They were more scripted than that. But besides that, it's not really the same. So we would have different personalities, because again, we're very competitive. So if we had to be on, he's played Jackbox games with us, and no one really noticed. Even though I said, "Yo, bro," no one actually really noticed that he was there. I can think some of you have played, but it's Friday night, so he's not always available. Oh, he hasn't been on. It's like he puts his name, he puts their Paul. Immediately you know who he is. So he's been there sometimes. But yeah, it's I've actually, funny enough, speaking of, I've actually done Jackbox games for his company before because they enjoyed it so much when they were over, and he enjoyed my streams so much that we ended up doing it for his work during COVID, and it was definitely a different experience. I mean, and they got me a bottle of wine that I still have to pick up. Still have to pick up that wine that they gave me. But I mean, what a perfect way to start a function. Can he? No, you can't. He can do Sister Agnes, but I've changed the Katmai voice quite a bit to be more Queenie-like. But he can definitely do Sister Agnes, which is very similar. And we both can do Dane Edna, and we both do the old man. But there are some things that I do that he can't do, and vice versa. There's some accents that I can do that he can't do. So it's like this very different medium balance of characters, so to speak. Whoops. We're approaching 1.5 hours, so I will be ending the stream off soon because we've pretty much drawn Culloden Katmai as much as we can. The only thing left over is the little rocks. I'm in no way, by the way, as entertaining as Tubi when she's doing this. I don't know how she manages to keep up with some of the stuff. As a French, no, she can't. Actually, I've never heard him do the French accent. That's a very good question. I need to find out the next time I'm with him. I'm like, hey, yo, bro, do a French accent. Go French. Let's hear this, and see if he can. But I mean, I do different, and it's hard to keep the voice like I was saying on stream. Mac is not any accent. I mean, not Mac, Hardy. So let's spoiler alert. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Malika, it's so good to see you. I love getting up. So I'll give you a bit of a thing. You need to, guys, do yourself a favor one day if you're really bored, and because we obviously will have off time in certain seasons. Go back and watch all the episodes and see if you can find the continuity of episodes, like when things happen on other episodes that lead on to others. Because there's a lot that happened in the last episode and is going to happen in this episode that were follow-ups of previous episodes. But one of them is Hardy's accent. And there is a moment there where someone actually discusses his accent and what it actually is. So here's the thing. I'm trying very hard with Hardy's accent. It's my hardest accent because I'm trying it not to be anything. So everyone's like, oh, he sounds Australian. But g'day, mate. This is Australian. Crikey, mate. It is a bit of Australia. Like, you want to put something on the barbie? That's a bit of Australian. But that's not Hardy's voice. Hardy is like a mix between European English soccer fan, Jason Statham, and a little bit Australian. But he's not anything. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, everyone. And we're not telling what it is now. But he's not anything, but he is. But he's definitely got the old rocker vibe. But that's that's like, oh, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. That's sort of like rocker vibe. It is whirly. But he's definitely got the, as you can see with his personality, he's definitely the rock star vibe. Like the whole like Mick Jagger type of attitude. Like, I'm a famous rock star, but it's also not quite that. I noticed Katmai and Joey agreeing to let Taz to continue to squish everyone, but they did not understand why they were agreeing to it. Later episodes, we find out Taz has the first. So I suspect that she used the first to make them agree to let keep squishing them. You see, now that is awesome. That is awesome to see that sort of feedback and seeing that people are, well, that. And that is a bit of a yes or no. It is a mostly yes. But it also goes into the line where the artists realize that yes, Tassie is manipulative in such a way that they can't actually be without her squishes. And as you said, why can't they be without the squishes? Because, yeah. So let me say it is the first, but it's also not knowingly the first. Oh, you see now, you show me coloring in like that, Jekka, and I just wanna crumple this up. I just wanna crumple this up and throw it away. That is so good. That is so good. So good. Wow. Just wow. That's amazing coloring in there, Jekka. Well, mine was done with crayons. With really, really terrible crayons. It's like it's soap. I just want to fill in this white space. I don't want her face to be completely white. And I followed Tubi's advice, putting the layer first, but now I'm going over with other layers. But yeah, there we go from top view. Whoops. The drawing of Katmai the ferret. I couldn't get dark brown. This dark brown, this dark brown, you see how dark it is? You see how not dark it is? Like, even when I sharpen this? Yeah, but Jekka, that's a really, really, I love the way you do the water work there. But yeah, here's a drawing, everyone. Here's it is. Yeah. Try to keep a face, put a bit of yellows on the face and oranges so that still looks fairish, but it's not white. Traditional art. Ooh. Smart use of the razor. Well, thank you. That's one of the things I do remember. This makes me want to do traditional. Yeah. Well, Tiny Tuber, you just said that you feel bad that you neglect your old equipment. So why not give like one stream a month where you use your equipment? So you give us a bit of a different. This is why I wash my hands beforehand. A bit of a different feel to things. You know, there's your opportunity right there to use your equipment. Give you those rosy yellow cheeks. And knowing Katmai, she needs to be a bit of. Let's sharpen this bad boy. Overstretch. Yeah. You know what I love about sharpening is when those things curl off. Oh, the shavings. Let's do this. I used to. No, where is it? Where is it? There it is. There it is. So we're gonna. That's what I want. I want this. Wait, I got too much. Okay, so there we go. Just the filings, just the shards, just lightly put it there. There we go. Just. What? No one can see what I'm doing. Just the shards, like over here. So it's not getting any of the pencil. I mean the shaving, and then just put it over there. Okay, and then we rub it in. Oh yes, that's smooth, baby. There we go. Now you can see her little head. She's got a little white glow. Well, if you got a camera, you just do what I'm doing. You just do what I'm. Oh, I need to autograph it. Oh, okay, but that's a bit different. That we have to do in pen. There we go. Autographed. Maybe a little. Oh no, I don't want to ruin the drawing. So now the final thing we do is that we're going to smooth everything out. Where's the razor? But I think Freaky and even the Cabbage maybe one that should, even she doesn't have to speak. Come and draw. Ready, JJ autograph and colouring and auction off for charity. Yeah. Hey. Well, I could. But I don't know where I would auction it off. I mean, where? I mean, I could auction it off on the channel. And then we can guarantee that it'll go somewhere. But yeah, you guys can let me know where you feel I should auction it off. Because also I wanted to be in a way that when someone pays for this, it doesn't go to any PayPal accounts or anything like that. It goes directly to the organization. I prefer it that way. It's a lot easier even from an admin perspective. Ooh, I'm liking the way that's turning out. I do blow my own trumpet in this regard. Thanks, Jilly. Bye-bye, Jilly. I really appreciate you joining. I know it's getting late for you on that side. And thanks, Tiny Tuber, for joining in as well. I'm off to have another nap. You did a great job. Okay. Okay, guys. That's going to be the end of the current stream with the drawing. I'm gonna scan this in, and everyone can see what it looks like when it's scanned in. But there we go. That's the coloring in. I won't lie, as horrible as these pencil crayons were, I actually enjoyed doing this. So maybe I'll invest in something that, you know, where the dark brown is actually brown and not light brown. But guys, if you stick around, we're going to be watching a movie tonight. It's going to be Hard Rock, the School of Rock. We're going to be doing a Prime watch party. So please join us there. Yeah, so there's very little movies we can actually, but it's going to be a Prime watch party just for us. And we'd like to thank you for joining. So I'll be moving over to the other channel. We will be doing it in, should we say 15 minutes? So 15 minutes, get your stuffs together, get you ready together. And don't forget, our Tiltify link is still available. You see the little icon there. If you wish to donate to Monterey Bay, please do. I still think we can hit that 2,000. But yeah. Oh yeah, Cabbage, I need to learn from you, Cabbage. I need to learn from the masters, and I need to do this more often. But let's also see, if you want to see Tiny Tuber do a much more traditional stream, let her know, and I'll help her set things up. But she just needs a camera. That's all she needs. She just needs a camera with a stand. Hydrate, everyone. Hydrate. But we'll see you in 15 minutes for the movie, guys. See you in 15. But that's obviously, the movie isn't going to be streamed on Twitch and things like that. It's a personal watch party. Only people who click on the link or join on the Discord can actually watch it. So it won't be broadcast out. TOS. So we'll be doing a Prime watch party. I hope you guys can join. And we'll see you soon, everyone. This has been the JJ Tower. As always, this has been the stream. So put your noses to the screen.